Life is not about luck. Luck is just an illusion, an excuse people use to hide their lack of determination. We live in a world full of opportunities and challenges, but most people fail to see them. Instead, they sit there, waiting for something to happen. And then they blame their circumstances, others, or even bad luck. But let me be clear with you. There's no such thing as luck in success. It's all the result of the decisions you make every day. And when you realize this, your life will change forever. I started from nothing. No support, no stable finances, no opportunities opening up right away. So why could I succeed? Because I understood that life is not a game of chance. I didn't wait for luck. I created it. I accepted that success is not something you can expect from the outside. Success is the result of the decisions you make, the actions you take day after day. When you realize this, you stop being dependent on circumstances. You begin to take control of your life. Forget the idea that success is a coincidence. Forget thinking that you'll get lucky and everything will fall into your hands. That's not true. Success doesn't fall from the sky. It comes from knowing what you want and persistently pursuing your goals. It's a combination of perseverance, right decisions, and the ability to face failure without ever giving up. When I started, people told me I was crazy. They said I couldn't do it, that the things I thought of were impossible. But I didn't care. I decided I wouldn't let their words affect me. You cannot let others determine your future. You must create your own path, no matter what they say. I didn't wait for luck or random opportunities. I worked relentlessly, challenged myself, and always looked for ways to improve. This doesn't mean you won't face difficulties. There will be days when you feel tired, days when you want to give up. But this is when you need to remember that success doesn't come from times when you feel comfortable. It comes from times when you face challenges, and you push through them with persistence. That's why successful people aren't always the smartest or have the most resources. They are simply the most persistent, the ones who never quit. Remember, you can't wait for a lucky day. You must create your opportunities, work hard, and persist in pursuing your goals. You must understand that success doesn't come from waiting, but from the actions you take every day. Live with clear goals. Don't be swayed by outside factors. When you take control of your life, when you understand that you can create success, you won't need luck anymore. You will be confident. You will have the power to change your destiny. So how do you achieve this? The answer is simple. Start acting right now. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait for all conditions to be right. Take the first steps now. Things will never be perfect, and that's okay. Success doesn't come from everything being perfectly arranged. It comes from taking small, consistent, and determined actions. When you act, you create opportunities for yourself. When you don't act, you're just wasting time. Life is not a game of chance. You can't just sit there and hope for a good card to come. You need a strategy. You need to act. And you need to persist. Only when you start acting can you see results. If you want to change your life, if you want to succeed, you must understand that nothing happens by chance. You must create opportunities for yourself. And to do that, you need to act now. Start with small things, with daily decisions. From there, you'll see that everything can change, and you can take control of your life. If you find these words valuable, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more valuable lessons every day, and comment to share your thoughts on how you create success in your life. Let's go through this journey together. Every morning you wake up, you're starting a journey. You're stepping into a new day, but what's important is how you step into it. Most people, if they're not proactive, let life lead them. They wake up, scroll through their phones, check notifications, then hit snooze to sleep a little longer, and then the whole day passes like that, with no proactivity, no clear goals. This is when you start losing control of your life. I don't live like that. I don't let life lead me, I lead it. When you wake up without a clear purpose, you're letting yourself get swept into things that don't matter, things outside your control. Waking up with intention is how you take control of yourself from the very first moments of the day. It's not about what you do in the morning, it's about how you set the tone for the whole day. Once you understand this, you'll realize that just a few minutes at the beginning of your day can change the entire direction of your life. You don't need to have a perfect morning routine. You don't need to wake up at 5 a.m. and run 10K to have a successful day. What matters is that you create a moment for yourself, even if it's just 5 minutes to be still, reflect, or write in a journal. When I wake up, I don't let anything outside my goals and intentions control me. I don't scroll through my phone or check emails. Those things are not a priority. What I do is focus on what I can do today to get closer to my long-term goals. Small actions every day accumulate and make a big difference. That's how I prepare for the new day, not to react to whatever life throws at me, but to proactively create positive changes. The reason so many people feel overwhelmed and can't move forward in life is that they don't start their day with a clear plan. They wake up and let everything happen randomly. They react based on their instincts, waiting and hoping that things will work out. But when you're not proactive, you let yourself get caught up in a whirlpool of unnecessary problems. You'll face fatigue, stress, and the feeling that you can't control anything. The morning is the golden time for you to take control. We all have 24 hours in a day, but the difference between successful and unsuccessful people lies in how they use the first few minutes of the day. If you wake up without a clear plan, the whole day will pass by wasted. Spend a few minutes setting your goals and priorities for the day. This is how you control your energy and focus. This doesn't mean you need a long, complicated to-do list. I don't live by a complex list of tasks. I just need to focus on the most important things of the day and do them right from the morning. Waking up with intention will get you started on the right foot, with motivation and a clear mental state. When you know what you need to do, you won't feel pulled away by outside factors. You will control everything. You may ask me how you can wake up with intention every day when work and life are full of challenges. Yes, things won't be easy, but these challenges are part of your journey. They are not obstacles you can't overcome. They are opportunities for you to show perseverance and your ability to overcome difficulties. And when you start each day with a clear intention, you will be mentally prepared to face these challenges. When you take control of the morning, you take control of the entire day. And when you take control of every day, you take control of your life. This is not something complicated. You just need a few minutes every morning to become more proactive, so life doesn't just carry you away. When you wake up and set goals for yourself, you'll feel energized, like you can do anything, and you'll progress every day. Try it. Instead of letting life's problems dictate your day, wake up each morning with a clear intention. Don't let life decide for you. You must decide for yourself. When you live this way, nothing is impossible. The tough days, the challenges are just part of the growth process. And with each day you wake up with intention, you'll find yourself stronger, more determined, and further ahead. Finally, remember that the morning is not just a time to start over, but an opportunity to reinvent yourself. If you take control of the morning, you'll control your life. Throughout my journey, I've realized something very clear. Victory is not about luck or talent. These are just things people use to justify their lack of determination and action. You don't need to be particularly gifted or lucky to succeed. Success comes from the ability to persist, to keep learning, and to have the determination to never give up. In fact, I started from scratch. No financial support, no special relationships to help me open doors. People told me I couldn't do it, that I was chasing impossible dreams. But I didn't listen to them, and I understood that there is only one thing that determines success: action. You can have talent, you can have luck, but if you don't take action, all of those things are meaningless. Success doesn't come from things beyond your control. It comes from the decisions you make every day. I don't believe in luck. Luck is something people who don't take action use to justify their failure to meet their goals. They say, "Oh, I didn't have luck," when things don't go according to plan, but in reality, luck isn't the determining factor. I've met many talented people, but they never succeeded because they didn't act strongly and persistently enough to turn their talent into tangible results. And I've met people with no outstanding talent, but they still succeeded because they kept acting every day, learning from failure, and never quitting. One of the most important things I've learned is that you must always be ready to fail. Failures are not the end. They are just lessons life wants to teach you. When you encounter failure, what's important is what you learn from it and what you do to change. Failure is not a reason to stop. It's an opportunity to start over with better understanding and experience. The world is not for those who only want success without facing challenges. The winners are those who can rise after failure and keep moving forward. When I fail, I don't back down. I just see it as an opportunity to learn and do better. We cannot rely on talent or luck for success. I've never believed that there's an easy path. Success comes from hard work, from persistently overcoming challenges, and from not giving up. This world is not always fair, but it's your persistence and determination that will create opportunities for you. You can't wait for others to open the door for you. You must open that door yourself. And when you do that, you will realize that success is the result of the decisions you make every day, not of random opportunities. I'm not saying you don't need talent. Talent is an advantage, but it's not the determining factor. You can have talent, but if you don't have persistence and determination, that talent will never be fully realized. My story is proof of this. I'm not the most talented, but I know I can succeed if I persist and never give up. I've faced many difficulties, but I've never looked back. I focus on my goals, and every day I take a small step toward them. No success comes without hard work. That's the law. Successful people are the ones who accept facing hardship, who accept that not everything will always be easy. Success doesn't come from always being right, but from always continuing, always learning and growing. That helps you overcome obstacles and move closer to your goal. Remember, life is not about luck or talent. Success is the result of conscious actions and determination. Stop using excuses like I don't have luck or I'm not talented enough. These are just excuses to avoid doing what needs to be done. If you want to succeed, you have to work relentlessly, learn from every failure, and always persist. That's the only way to win, and that's how I did it. Every day we face important decisions, and among them there's one decision that can completely change your life. That's the decision to act the moment you think of something that needs to be done. But the truth is, most of us procrastinate, hesitate, and let opportunities slip by due to insecurity, fear, or simply because we don't want to face difficult things. The 5-second rule helps you break this cycle and start acting immediately. When I decide to do something, I never let myself waste too much time thinking about whether I should do it or not. In this world, opportunities don't always wait for you to decide. If you don't act as soon as an idea comes to you, that opportunity will slip away. That's why I use the 5-second rule, a simple but incredibly powerful rule that helps me take immediate action and overcome procrastination. This rule is very simple. When you have an intention or an action you know you need to take, count down from 5 to 1 and then act immediately. This method helps you defeat hesitation, eliminate negative thoughts, and develop a habit of decisiveness and strength. You won't have time to rethink, no time for fears to hold you back. You act right away, and when you act, you create momentum to keep moving forward. This rule isn't just about doing something simple. It's about how you face hesitation, indecision, and the invisible fears we carry inside us every day. Don't think you have to feel perfect, excited, or 100% confident to begin. The truth is, if you wait until you feel ready, you'll always find reasons to procrastinate. I don't wait for that feeling, and neither should you. Readiness is the result of action, not of a feeling. Think about the decisions you've postponed in your life, the opportunities you've missed just because you weren't brave enough to step out of your comfort zone. You think you need everything to be perfect before you start, but the reality is, you'll never have all the answers. If I waited for everything to be perfect before starting big projects, I would never have succeeded. From creating electric cars to building rockets, none of it was perfect from the beginning. But I acted, learned from mistakes, and kept improving. When you use the 5-second rule, you create a habit of decisiveness. You teach yourself to act without hesitation, and throughout this process, you'll see that each decision, each small step makes a big difference. Every time you conquer procrastination, you take one step closer to success. It's not about having the perfect strategy right from the start. It's about starting to act and continuing to act every day. The hard part is overcoming procrastination, laziness, and sometimes even yourself. I had to learn this. There were times when I hesitated, feeling insecure about an important decision. But after a while, I realized that those hesitant decisions were the reason I didn't achieve what I wanted. The 5-second rule helped me overcome that feeling, and when I acted immediately, I not only saved time, but also created better results. This rule is not a simple method for solving problems. It's a method for changing the way you think, changing the way you act. When you act immediately, you're not just moving toward your goal. You're also building confidence and discipline. You learn to trust yourself, to believe that even if you're not perfect, you can still make it. Because when you act, you'll learn. And when you learn, you'll continue to improve. Sure, not every immediate action is easy. There are days when you feel demotivated, tired, or lack confidence. But that's exactly when you need the 5-second rule more than ever. Procrastination is the enemy of progress. And when you master procrastination, you'll find that the things you once thought were impossible now become solid steps on the path to success. Don't let hesitation hold you back. Use the 5-second rule to act the moment you have an intention. Count down from 5 to 1 and act. That's the key to not being left behind, to not missing out on valuable opportunities just because you didn't dare step out of your comfort zone. When you apply this rule to your life, you'll begin to see the difference. You'll see that life is no longer about coincidences or luck. Everything is in your hands. And every decision you make to act will bring you one step closer to the goal you've always dreamed of. When I look back on my journey, one thing is clear. I haven't always felt motivated. People often think that successful people like me always have endless energy, always excited to work relentlessly. But the truth is, motivation isn't always available, and you can't rely on emotions to decide your actions. Instead, discipline is the deciding factor. Motivation is something you feel during special moments, when you're excited, energetic, and have a big reason to keep going. But motivation, like all feelings, is temporary. You can't live relying on motivation alone. Sometimes motivation doesn't come, or you might feel tired and uninspired. It's in those moments that discipline is what keeps you going. I've gone through many days when I didn't feel like working. I've faced sluggish days, moments of lack of motivation, but I understood that only discipline can help me overcome it. Discipline is not something easy, and is not something you can learn in one day. Discipline is the result of your commitment to doing what needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not. Success doesn't come from always feeling motivated. Success comes from doing the right things, no matter the circumstances. When I work on big projects, I know I must keep working even when no one is cheering me on, even when I don't feel inspired. I must persist, working every day, solving problems one by one until everything is finished. That's the difference between people who achieve temporary success and those who truly endure. Like anyone, I also have days when I feel like I can't go on. But I don't let emotions control me. I know that the work still needs to be done. When I face difficulties, I don't try to back out. I don't stop and tell myself, I can't do it today. Instead, I start doing something small, step by step. That's discipline. When you don't feel motivation, discipline will help you keep going. What's important is understanding that significant life changes don't come from a sudden moment. They come from small decisions repeated every day. You don't need to do everything perfectly from the start, but you need to do it and keep doing it. Discipline is what keeps you consistent, helping you pursue your goals even when you don't feel like it. It's the foundation for achieving lasting success. Many people think they just need motivation to accomplish their goals. They wait for a big event, some push to begin. But the truth is, motivation doesn't always come when you need it. If you can't maintain discipline every day, even without inspiration, you'll never get far. When you have discipline, you don't depend on your feelings to decide action. You work because you know it's what you need to do. Discipline isn't something out of reach or impossible to achieve. It's simply about creating a habit. And once you've created that habit, it becomes part of your life. You won't have to struggle to maintain it every day. It will become a natural part of your actions. At that point, you won't have to rely on the feeling of wanting to do anymore. You'll just do it because you know it's what needs to be done. Discipline is also about keeping promises to yourself. Every time you complete a task, even without inspiration, you're building self-respect and trust in yourself. Every time you stick to discipline, you're affirming that you can trust yourself, that you'll always do what's necessary to achieve your goals. These actions will help you build long-term self-esteem and confidence. That's the real power of discipline. Discipline isn't about forcing yourself to do something. Discipline is about making it a habit. When you have the habit of working consistently, no matter the circumstances, you won't have to rely on your feelings anymore. You'll progress, whether you're motivated or not, and more importantly, you'll be in control of your life. The only way to truly succeed in life is to learn how to maintain discipline in every situation. When you persist, when you work every day despite lacking motivation, you will reach your goals. And once you've learned how to maintain discipline, you'll see that success isn't something far away. It's the result of persistence and decisions you make every day, even when no one is watching. Discipline is the key. The environment you create around you has a profound impact on how you think and act. A healthy, supportive, and inspiring environment can drive you forward, while a negative environment will pull you back, drain you, and paralyze you. You can't change the world instantly, but you can control and improve the environment you live in, and by doing so, you are taking control of your life. I've always known that the environment is a key factor in anything I do. From developing Tesla to SpaceX, I've always found ways to create a creative, challenging, and continuously evolving work environment. Environment isn't just the place where you work. It's also the people around you, what you consume, and how you approach everything. If you don't manage it, your environment can easily pull you into stagnation and make you lose your way. If you don't control your space and time, you'll easily get distracted and lose focus on your bigger goals. I always try to create a space where I can focus, where no negative elements can invade my mind. Every space I work in must have purpose. Every object, every small corner, every person around me must support me in achieving my bigger goal. The people I work with, the materials I read, the things I listen to, all must complement my goal and help me think more clearly. It's important to understand that environment isn't just the space around you, it's also the people you allow into your life. If you surround yourself with negative people, people who don't share the same vision, people who don't support you, then you'll be negatively influenced. You might not realize it immediately, but these people will make you feel demotivated, insecure, and will cause you to hesitate when you need to move forward. The environment isn't just where you work, it's also the thoughts and beliefs you nurture in your mind every day. To achieve success, you need to learn how to filter out negative thoughts, outside influences, and focus only on the things that help you grow. You must find a way to create a space in your mind where negativity has no place. This might be a challenge, but if you manage your mental environment well, you'll find yourself becoming stronger, wiser, and more decisive. I always strive to keep a creative, undistracted space so I can come up with bold ideas and face major challenges. Once you realize you can control your environment, you'll see that life becomes much easier. It's easy to get caught up in a cycle of negativity if you don't take control of it from the start. When you create a supportive environment free from negativity, free from passivity, you'll see that your productivity increases. You'll see that you can get things done faster, more creatively, and be able to overcome every challenge. The people around you will support you rather than hinder you. And when you work with like-minded people, those who never stop striving toward their goals, you'll be empowered and motivated to move forward. Not everyone realizes that the environment can have a significant impact on their success, but I'm certain it plays a crucial role. If you live in an unsupportive environment, if you spend time with people who don't share your values or who aren't willing to put in effort like you won't get far. Environment can change everything, from how you think to how you act. Additionally, physical environment is very important. You may have a creative mind, but if you don't have the space to fully unleash that potential, you won't be able to develop your abilities. My workspace is always designed so that I can focus on my work without distractions. A good workspace isn't one where you're comfortable, but one where you can maximize your productivity and creativity. Creating a good environment isn't just important for work, it's also key in maintaining balance in life. Your environment must be a place where you feel safe, free to develop, experiment, and learn. A good environment is one that helps you become the best version of yourself. If you don't control your environment, life will easily overwhelm you. Make sure you surround yourself with people who push you, who create positive change in your life. Create a space where you can grow and not be hindered by unnecessary factors. When you do that, you'll see that success is no longer out of reach. you will become the person you've always wanted to be, and everything around you will reflect that. The conversation you have with yourself is one of the most important factors determining your success. We all have thoughts in our minds, thoughts that can be motivating but can also trap you and hold you back. The key is knowing how to control those thoughts, because what you say to yourself shapes your actions and the results in your life. I realize that when you let yourself fall into negative thoughts, you're creating an invisible barrier that prevents you from moving forward. I'm not perfect, and I don't always have positive thoughts. But the important thing is I don't let negative thoughts control my actions. You may feel insecure, doubt your abilities, or fear you're not good enough to do great things. But if you don't change the way you face those thoughts, they will hold you back. The conversation with yourself can be one of the most powerful weapons you have. You can change how you think about yourself. And that's what I did to move further. When I faced failure, instead of blaming myself and sinking into negativity, I learned to view failure as a lesson, an opportunity to learn and improve. You can't just live in I can't or I'm not good enough. Instead, you need to change it to I'm learning how to do this, or I can do this if I persevere. It's important to understand that the thoughts in your head won't change automatically. You must actively change them. When I faced a big challenge, instead of letting negative thoughts overwhelm me, I reminded myself that everything can be solved as long as I keep taking action. These thoughts aren't just comforting words, they actually create a huge shift in how I see problems and decide to act. The conversation with yourself is where the biggest difference is made between those who succeed and those who can't move forward. When you maintain a positive mindset, not just in good times, but even in difficult times, you find that life begins to change. I've learned that maintaining a positive conversation with myself, especially during tough times, is the key to staying strong and overcoming challenges. Negative thoughts will come, and no one can avoid that. But how you respond to them is what really matters. I never let those thoughts control my actions. Instead, I learned to shift my attention from worries, doubts, and insecurities to specific actions I could take to move forward. And I never let fear dominate. I taught myself that fear is just a natural reaction, and if I face it decisively, I can overcome it. But one of the biggest lessons I've learned is that action is the best way to control the conversation with myself. When I take action, even if it's a small step, I feel more confident. Those actions not only help me move forward, but they also help me build trust in myself. I don't wait until I feel 100% ready or confident. I act immediately because I know that action creates confidence. The conversation with yourself isn't just about comforting words during tough times, it's also about how you encourage yourself in normal times. I don't wait until I face a difficulty to change my thoughts. I create a habit of reminding myself that I can do it, that I can overcome any challenge. When I do this every day, I find that my confidence grows, and I no longer fear difficulties or challenges. The difference between those who succeed and those who fail lies in the ability to control the conversation with oneself. When you believe in yourself, when you know that you can overcome anything, you will find that nothing is impossible. And when you actively change the conversation with yourself, you'll begin to see changes in the way you act and the results you achieve. I know that negative thoughts will always come, but I don't let them control me. I constantly remind myself that good things will come if I keep pushing and persevering. You can do this too. You can control the conversation with yourself instead of letting it control you. And when you do that, you'll find that every challenge, every obstacle can be overcome, and you'll become stronger, more confident every day. Failure is not the end. It's not the final word of a story. In fact, failure is an essential part of the journey to success. If you don't accept failure, you'll never move forward. Failure is an opportunity to learn, to improve, and more importantly, to try again, but this time with a deeper understanding and better preparation. I've failed many times in my career. I've faced painful failures, from not achieving the goals of SpaceX to struggling with the production of Tesla electric cars. There were times when I almost gave up, but I understood that failure is inevitable in the process of growth. Failure is not a sign that you're not good enough. It's a sign that you're pushing your limits, and that's the only way to grow. Failure is feedback. It's a valuable lesson about what doesn't work. When you fail, you shouldn't blame yourself or others. Instead, you need to look at that failure, learn from it, and improve. Every failure is a step forward, as long as you know how to learn from it and keep trying. You can't grow if you just keep doing what you've done and expect a different result. You must change, learn, and try new things. How you handle failure determines how you progress in life. Some people choose to blame circumstances, others, or even themselves. But that only leaves you stuck. When you truly understand that failure is part of the process, you'll find that it no longer holds you back. You'll see each failure as an opportunity to become stronger, wiser, and closer to your goal. Perhaps the most important thing I've learned from failure is patience. Success doesn't come after one try. You have to persist, take risks, fail, and get back up. One of the biggest failures I faced was when SpaceX tried to launch a rocket and failed 3 times in a row. If I had given up after those first attempts, SpaceX would never have seen the success it has today. If Tesla had given up after early failures, we wouldn't have the groundbreaking electric cars we have now. I never see failure as the end. It's an opportunity for me to reflect, improve, and get back on track. In every failure, I find the reason it didn't work. Then I change my strategy. That's why failure is not the end. It's just part of the learning and progress journey. Think about all the great people we admire. Albert Einstein, Steve Jobs, Thomas Edison. They all failed many times before achieving success. And what do you think about them? You wouldn't guess that these people once failed miserably before they created amazing accomplishments. But the important thing is, they didn't give up. They didn't stop after each failure. They kept trying, kept learning, and eventually they succeeded. Just like them, you can't let failure stop your progress. If you look at failure as an opportunity to learn and grow, you'll realize that nothing is impossible to overcome. Failure is nothing to fear. It's part of the process, and it will help you build resilience, creativity, and mental strength to move forward. Remember, no one achieves great success without facing failure. What you do after failure is what really matters. You can choose to quit and let that failure control you, or you can get up and keep fighting, improving, and trying again. That will determine whether you reach the destination or not. And when you overcome failures, you'll feel a tremendous sense of victory because you've truly learned and grown from it. It's the patience in facing failure and the determination to never give up that helps me stand strong, build SpaceX, Tesla, and create things that once seemed like dreams. If I had given up after each failure, we wouldn't have the groundbreaking technological advances and industrial achievements we have today. So when you face failure, don't see it as the end. See it as an opportunity to reflect, learn, and try again. Every failure is a step forward, and only those who don't give up truly find success. Your energy is your most valuable resource. You may have plenty of time, but if you don't have enough energy to work, you won't be able to use that time effectively. And not all of your energy is physical. A large part of the energy you use every day is mental and emotional. If you don't know how to protect and manage it, you'll easily fall into burnout, loss of focus, and lack of motivation. I've always been very aware of my energy, especially when the work becomes more complex and stressful. I've had days of non-stop work where every decision, every strategy had to be carefully calculated. But I realize that if I didn't protect my energy, I wouldn't be able to maintain the creativity and perseverance I needed. And I believe this is important, not just for me, but for anyone who wants to achieve great success in life. The first thing you need to do to protect your energy is to limit distractions. You can't let external factors pull you away from your focus. Phone notifications, unnecessary emails, meaningless conversations, these are all energy vampires, draining your focus and spirit. I always try to minimize distractions by creating a work environment free from interruptions. I filter the information I take in, and I always set specific times to work, free from outside distractions. This is important. I understand that when you're constantly distracted, your brain has to switch from one task to another. And this not only wastes time, but also reduces work efficiency. To protect your energy, you need to learn how to focus on one task at a time and complete it before moving to the next. Focus will help you work more effectively and save energy for more important tasks later on. Additionally, you also need to pay attention to the people you allow into your life. Every person you interact with impacts your energy. Positive, enthusiastic people with shared goals will energize you. In contrast, negative people, critics, or those who bring constant disappointment will drain your energy. Remember, you have the right to choose the people around you. Make sure you surround yourself with those who will support and inspire you. If you spend too much time with people who leave you feeling drained, you won't have enough energy to pursue your bigger goals. Another important aspect is protecting your emotional energy. Negative emotions can consume a large amount of energy. You can't control everything in life, but you can control how you react to it. If you let negative emotions dominate, you'll feel tired and lost. I've learned not to let the things I can't change affect my mood. This doesn't mean I don't feel disappointed or stressed, but I've learned to manage those emotions so they don't control me. Once you know how to control your emotions, they won't weaken your spirit and energy. Protecting energy also includes taking time to recover and rest. No matter how stressful my work is, I always understand that rest is necessary to maintain high performance. Both the body and mind need time to recover. You can't work continuously without giving yourself time to relax and recharge. This doesn't mean you have to rest all day, but you need to know how to create moments for yourself to renew your energy. I always make time to step away from work, spend time with family, or simply take a walk to clear my mind. When you protect your energy, you'll find that you work more effectively, more creatively, and can maintain long-term motivation. You don't need to work endlessly to achieve good results. Efficiency comes from knowing how to use your energy wisely, optimizing your time and effort. When you have abundant energy, you'll work faster and with better quality, and you won't feel exhausted or burned out. The key is to manage your energy just like you manage finances. If you keep spending energy without knowing how to protect and invest in what matters, you'll drain yourself and never achieve your goals. Protecting your energy isn't just a way to maintain creativity and motivation, it's also a way to keep your persistence and determination throughout the long journey. You won't be able to finish tasks if you keep letting your energy scatter and get lost. And lastly, protecting your energy also means knowing when to say no. You can't do everything. You have to learn how to refuse things that are unimportant, things that don't serve your goal. Being firm in protecting your energy will help you focus on what truly matters and has a significant impact on your success. So, start protecting your energy today. First, eliminate negative and distracting elements. Then, surround yourself with positive people, those who will add energy to you. And finally, create space for yourself, allowing time for rest and recovery. When you protect your energy, you'll not only maintain work efficiency, but also enhance your ability to conquer any challenge along the way. Life is a journey full of challenges, and not everything will go the way you want. That's why courage is essential if you want to move forward. Courage is not about not feeling afraid. Courage is taking action even when you're afraid. It's facing uncertainty, overcoming insecurity, and acting when everything isn't completely clear. I've learned that doing one brave thing every day is the only way to create major changes in your life. Certainly, when you decide to do something brave, you won't always get the results you expect. I've faced countless challenges without knowing if I would succeed, but the important thing is that I still took action, and I didn't wait for the perfect moment to feel completely ready. If you wait until everything is perfect before you act, you'll miss the opportunity. Life doesn't wait for you, and you can't let fear or doubt stop you. Action is the only way to change and get what you want. When I started Tesla, no one believed in the idea of an electric car that could change the automotive industry. Everyone called me crazy, but I acted despite the criticism, and that was one of the bravest decisions of my life. Courage is not about something loud. It's the ability to do something even when you know failure is possible, but you still choose to try. That's how I created SpaceX, facing challenges that seemed impossible to overcome. And that's why I believe that doing one brave thing every day is not just about facing fear, but also about creating opportunities and changing an entire industry. Doing one brave thing every day doesn't mean facing huge challenges every morning. The key is to make decisions even when you don't feel confident. Courage can be starting a project when you're unsure of the result, or even facing a difficult conversation you've been avoiding. Sometimes, being brave is about changing the path you're on, even if you've already gone a long way. These brave decisions are steps that you might not recognize at the time, but they'll have a huge impact on your growth later. A brave day might not give immediate results, but gradually it creates a habit, and that habit will form a person who never fears failure. I never wait until everything is perfect to start. I begin and learn throughout the journey. When you do one brave thing every day, you're training yourself to face uncertainty and not get stuck in challenges. Courage is not a destination, but a continuous process, and every day you do it, you'll become a stronger version of yourself. The important thing is not to avoid things that make you uncomfortable. If you do only easy things, you'll never know your true potential. Big challenges always come with fear. If you don't feel fear when trying something new, you might not have truly put yourself in a challenging situation. Courage isn't about not being afraid. It's about acting despite the fear. That's why every day you need to do something you're unsure about. Only then will you grow. In fact, every time I face a big challenge, I feel myself growing more. When you act despite fear, you not only overcome it, but grow stronger. When I had to face the difficult beginnings of SpaceX or Tesla, I never let fear stop me. Every brave decision, no matter how small or big, brought me closer to my goal. And the challenges I face every day have truly prepared me to handle anything in the future. Courage isn't a spontaneous act, it's a habit you must build every day. Every small step you take outside your comfort zone will help you develop the ability to overcome fear. When you act courageously, you learn how to face failure without giving up. And when you don't give up, you'll never stop, no matter how big the difficulty or challenge. This perseverance is what makes the difference between those who only dream and those who actually achieve success. Doing one brave thing every day isn't about seeking excitement or pride, it's about creating a habit of working consciously and consistently. When you face something difficult, you're developing the strength you need to overcome any barrier, and that's how you create big changes in your life. Courage isn't a feeling, it's a decision, and every day you do one brave thing, you're creating a stronger future for yourself. We live in a world where people tend to wait for the perfect moment to start something. They procrastinate, finding reasons not to take action because they fear the outcome won't meet expectations if things aren't perfect. But the truth is, perfection is something that never comes, and if you wait for it, you'll never begin. When I started with Tesla or SpaceX, nothing was perfect. The first Tesla cars weren't perfect, and the rockets at SpaceX weren't perfect designs from the beginning. But I understood one thing clearly: perfection never comes if you don't start. I knew I would learn from mistakes, from failures, and I would adjust until I achieved better results. That's how progress happens. Perfection is not the destination, but a continuous process of improvement and refinement. If I had waited for everything to be perfect before starting, SpaceX would never have succeeded. Tesla would never have gone into mass production. If I had focused only on making everything perfect from the start, I would have missed out on big opportunities. When you wait for perfection, you're giving up the chance to experiment, learn, and improve over time. I didn't wait for everything to be perfect. I just started and fixed what needed fixing along the way. One of the reasons people procrastinate is because they fear they won't do everything right. They fear that their work won't be perfect, and that makes them feel overwhelmed and stop working. But the truth is, if you wait for everything to be perfect, you'll never get the chance to learn. The only way to truly improve is to start, accept that nothing is perfect from the beginning, and be willing to learn from mistakes. When I founded Tesla, I didn't have perfection in hand. The first cars weren't ideal, and not every decision I made was correct. But the important thing was that I didn't stop because of imperfection. I understood that failure is part of the learning process. Each experiment, each improvement taught me something new, and that's why Tesla is as successful as it is today. Along with mistakes and failures, I continued to improve and create a product that kept getting better. Perfection is just a concept you create in your mind. In reality, if you wait for everything to be perfect, you'll never move forward. Instead, you should focus on action and continuous improvement. Act, and as you move forward, you'll notice the mistakes and then you'll fix them. That's how you progress, not by waiting for everything to be perfect. We cannot rely on perfection to succeed. If I had waited for everything to be perfect before working, I certainly wouldn't have products like Tesla or SpaceX. No company grows without facing failures and challenges. It's those challenges that help you mature and move forward. Certainly, if I had let perfection stop me, I wouldn't have achieved what I have today. Action is the most important factor in creating change. Don't wait for everything to be perfect. Don't let the fear of imperfection stop you from acting. When you begin, you'll create a positive feedback loop. You'll learn from mistakes and improve them over time. Perfection will come, but it will only come when you stop waiting and start acting. This is one of the reasons why I always focus on starting and adjusting as needed. You can't achieve good results if you just sit and wait. I don't wait for everything to become perfect before making decisions. I choose to act and always try to adjust over time. Every time I try, I learn a little more, and that's what allows me to progress. All you need to do is start. Don't let perfection become an excuse to delay action. Perfection doesn't exist. Instead, focus on working relentlessly, learning from mistakes, and improving step by step. Start today, and you'll see that action is the most important factor leading to success. In the journey of life, one important thing you need to realize is your story is not something to hide. It's something you must own. This story isn't about what you've done, but how you view what's happened and how you decide to move forward. Life doesn't always unfold as we expect, and you will face many failures, disappointments, and challenges, but the key is how you choose to perceive them. Owning your story means not letting the past or your failures define you. Instead, you learn to use those experiences to grow and move forward. When I started with Tesla, very few people believed in my idea. They said electric cars couldn't replace gasoline-powered ones, that I wasn't capable of competing with the giants in the auto industry. But I didn't let those criticisms control me. I understood that this is my story, and I wouldn't let anyone else write it. People can say what they want, but I'm the one who decides how the story will end. That's why I own my story, not letting anyone, whether outsiders or close friends, change it. Owning your story is incredibly important. Don't let others define you by your failures or tough moments. People will always have opinions, always want you to take an easier path, or think that what you're doing is impossible. But only you get to decide how you see yourself. In fact, I've learned that the more unique my story is, the more it faces challenges, the more valuable it becomes. This story isn't about everything always going smoothly, but about continuing to act, continuing to persist despite all the difficulties. When I look back at Tesla's journey, I don't just see successes, I see many failures. And I'm proud that those failures helped me grow and learn. A big part of owning your story is accepting your past, both your mistakes and failures. I never deny what's happened, no matter how painful it was. In fact, I use those mistakes as lessons, and they have taught me a lot about how to work, lead, and solve problems. You can't avoid challenges in life, but you can decide how to react to them. When you own your story, you not only face difficulties, but also learn how to overcome them, and that's how you grow. My journey wasn't an easy path. When I started SpaceX, I faced skepticism from everyone. Our rockets failed repeatedly, and no one believed a private company could change the space industry. But I didn't let those failures define me. I owned my story by standing up and trying again. In fact, no one can own your story but you. If you let others control it, you'll never feel you have control over your life. When I look at the difficulties I've overcome, I realize one important thing. Those failures are not something to be ashamed of. They are stepping stones to success. It's those challenges, those moments when it seemed impossible to overcome, that created opportunities for me to grow. And my story has been written from the valuable lessons I've learned from those failures. Never let anyone make you feel ashamed of your mistakes. They are an essential part of your journey. Those are the parts that make up your story, and you should be proud of them. To own your story, you must also continue to change and grow. A story only truly matters when you keep developing, learning, and improving yourself. If you stop, your story will lose its vitality. When you keep progressing, your story will always be interesting and inspiring. The story is not about achieving your goal, but about the journey you've gone through, the difficulties you've overcome, and how you've faced them all. The key is not to let others' judgment cloud your vision. People will always have evaluations, and sometimes they will criticize you, but that's part of the game. When you own your story, you don't need to seek approval from others. You don't need to live according to anyone else's expectations. You don't need to live according to anyone else's expectations. Your life is yours, and the story you write is your own. Don't let anyone change it. When you learn to own your story, you will feel more confident in your decisions. You will no longer fear facing challenges because you know they are part of the story you are creating. And every time you face difficulty, you'll have a new story to tell, one that shows persistence, strength, and constant progress. When you take ownership of your story, you'll see that life isn't just a series of temporary moments, but a long journey with endless opportunities to grow and change. So, start now. Own your story and don't let anyone change it. Learn to appreciate every moment in your journey and use everything you go through to create a meaningful story, a story that truly belongs to you. Today's world is full of distractions. Every day you're caught up in thousands of tasks, hundreds of demands, and millions of things to think about. Meanwhile, what is your goal? Have you ever asked yourself why it feels like you can't get everything done, even though you work all day long? That's the issue, a lack of focus. When you can't simplify what needs to be done, you're setting yourself up for failure, and you need to change that. I've learned that focus is one of the most important factors for success. One of the reasons I've been able to achieve the impossible, from building Tesla to developing SpaceX, is that I know how to simplify things and focus on what matters most. We live in a world full of distractions, so many things requiring your attention. But if you don't know how to reduce complexity and focus on your main goal, you won't get far. Think about a rocket, for example, from SpaceX. If I couldn't simplify the design, if I couldn't reduce complexity, launching a rocket would be impossible. Every small detail needs to be optimized for efficiency, and we cannot let irrelevant factors take over this process. Just like in life, you need to filter and focus only on what really matters. When you try to do too many things at once, you can't do anything well. If you want success, you must simplify, cut out the excess, and focus on your main objective. In my work, I always try to make things clear and direct. If there's something important to do, I don't waste time worrying about irrelevant things. I look at the issue, cut out what's unnecessary, and then pour all my energy into solving it. We all have big goals in life, but if you don't know how to focus, those goals will become overwhelming tasks that make you feel lost. That's why you need to simplify everything to move forward. You might ask how to simplify focus in a world full of distractions. The answer is simple. Know what's important and eliminate everything else. I don't let myself get caught up in unimportant tasks or things that don't add value. Every decision I make, every step I take is directed toward my big goal. And that's how I can focus all my energy on doing great things. Every day, I take time to define what I truly want to achieve and cut out all unnecessary distractions. If you let yourself get distracted by small things, you'll never achieve anything big. Simplifying focus doesn't just help you work more effectively, it also helps you protect your energy. When you spend too much time on trivial things, you not only lose focus, but also your motivation. I understand that in both work and life there are things you can't avoid, but the truth is, you can choose to focus on what's truly important. Everything around you can create distractions, but when you keep your focus on your biggest goal, you'll never feel tired or lack motivation. I don't let side issues distract me, and I suggest you don't either. You need to know when to say no and when to eliminate things that don't help you progress. Simplifying focus not only helps you work more effectively, but also helps you become more creative. When you're not worried about thousands of things around you, you'll have space to think and find creative solutions to problems. One of the reasons I've been able to create breakthrough products, from electric cars to reusable rockets, is because I always maintain a sharp focus on what truly matters without getting distracted by irrelevant factors. One thing I always do is clearly define my goals. Whenever I start a new project, I never let myself get lost. I always clearly define what I want to achieve and do everything to reach that goal. You can't achieve everything at once, but you can do a few things well if you truly focus on them. That's why I always select the most important goals and focus on them. When you do this, you'll see that life becomes easier, work becomes more efficient, and you'll make faster progress. When you simplify focus, you'll realize that success is not something distant. It can be achieved right now if you focus on the important things. Eliminate distractions and focus on the end goal. When you do that, everything will become clear and you won't feel overwhelmed by the workload. Keep things simple and focus on what truly matters. Do this and you'll find yourself progressing further than ever before. In life, there is one truth that not everyone is willing to face. Everything in your life is your responsibility, from your successes to your failures. You can't blame circumstances, others, or anything outside your control. To truly take charge of your life, you must accept responsibility not only for past decisions, but for every action you take moving forward. When I started with SpaceX, many people said I was taking on an impossible risk. Starting a rocket company wasn't an easy decision, and very few believed we could succeed. But I didn't blame the lack of trust. In fact, I learned how to take responsibility not only for failures, but also for opportunities I missed, things I didn't do well enough. When you do this, you'll find that you grow, and you'll no longer feel fear or lack of confidence when facing challenges. Accepting responsibility is the first step in taking charge of your life. You can't have control if you don't recognize that everything is in your hands. The decisions you make today shape your future. If you're not satisfied with where you stand, instead of blaming others, you need to look at the decisions that got you here and find ways to change them. This means taking responsibility for both your mistakes and successes, not because someone made you fail, but because of what you did. Certainly, when you embark on something big, there will be factors beyond your control. The market may change, technology may fail, and external factors can impact your progress. But that's not a reason to give up or blame others. External factors may affect you, but how you respond to them, how you control what you can, is what ultimately decides the outcome. No one is coming to save you. Only you can change and improve everything. I have learned that responsibility is not a burden, it's a power. When you accept that everything in your life is in your hands, you gain the power to change. When you take responsibility, you're no longer passive. You no longer feel like a victim of circumstances. You become proactive, and when you're proactive, you find solutions, strategies to overcome difficulties and move forward. One of the most important things I've learned is to never blame others or circumstances. When a project fails, I never blame anyone on the team or the market. I always look at myself to find out why things didn't go as planned. This helps me realize that if I could have done something differently, if I could have changed a decision, perhaps the result would have been different. This acceptance of responsibility has helped me continually improve, learn from mistakes, and move forward. You can't change the past, but you can change the future by being proactive with what you can control. And that's what creates a huge difference between successful and unsuccessful people. When you don't blame others, you not only have the ability to learn, but also to improve everything in the way you want. You'll realize that the challenges in the past were opportunities for growth and strength. But remember, no one else can change your life. You can't wait for help from others, and you can't let circumstances control you. If you don't accept responsibility, you'll always feel like you don't have the power to change anything. But when you accept responsibility, you'll understand that you're the one who decides everything. You're not the one being affected. You're the one with influence. Accepting responsibility is how you step up to a new level in life and work. You'll no longer feel hindered by external factors. You'll become the person you've always wanted to be. You won't feel anxious or fearful because you know that everything is in your hands. And that's true power, the power to create the future you want. So, start today, take responsibility for what you've done and for what you will do in the future. Don't let external factors control you. Take charge of your own power and create the changes you want to see in your life. When you do this, you'll see that nothing is impossible. Life is never a smooth path. Anyone who wants to achieve something great will face challenges, failures, and moments that seem impossible to overcome. But one thing I've learned through building Tesla, SpaceX, and many other projects is to keep moving forward, no matter how difficult it gets. This is not just advice, but a rule I've lived and worked by throughout my career. When I started SpaceX, no one believed we could succeed. Our rockets failed 3 times in a row, and each time we lost a lot of money and time. On top of that, there were countless other factors, from resource shortages to industry skepticism, all making things incredibly difficult. But I didn't stop. Every failure just made me think about doing it again and trying harder. I couldn't give up because I knew that only those who don't quit can change the world. The truth is, when you start a big project, nothing is certain. You can't predict the future, and you can't be sure that you'll succeed. But one thing I'm sure of is that if you don't keep moving forward, you'll never achieve what you want. Every day of facing challenges is an opportunity for you to learn, grow, and get closer to your goal. The key is to not stop, regardless of difficulties, challenges, or failures. There will definitely be times when you feel tired, when you feel like giving up. But let me be clear, if you stop, you'll never know what could have happened if you kept going. The hard days are when you build perseverance and inner strength. I didn't quit, and that's why I can see the success today. When I built Tesla, I faced a lot of criticism and doubt. Most people thought electric cars couldn't replace gasoline-powered cars. I had to fight not only against the industry's biases, but also against the doubts of those around me. But I didn't stop. Every time I faced difficulty, I only thought about the vision I had set. I wanted to change the automotive industry, and I knew that only by moving forward, no matter how difficult, could I turn that dream into reality. In life, there are many factors you can't control, but the only thing you can control is how you respond to difficulties. If you keep fearing failure, you'll never dare to try something big. I never let failure or hardship stop me. Failures were valuable lessons that helped me improve and do better next time. If I had given up after the first failures, I would never have achieved SpaceX or Tesla as they are today. Remember, the difference between successful people and those who can't move forward is persistence and the determination to never give up. When you move forward, you'll face many challenges, but the key is to never give up. You may feel tired, you may face failure, but if you keep fighting, you will overcome all obstacles. To move forward in life, you need to learn how to overcome fear. Fear of failure, fear of not being good enough, fear of not being accepted. All these will hold you back and stop you from growing. I've been afraid of many things, but I didn't let those fears control me. Instead, I accepted them as part of the process and kept moving forward, no matter how uncomfortable that felt. Every time I overcame fear, I became stronger, more confident, and closer to my goal. Moving forward isn't just a decision, it's a habit. Every day you must keep going, even when things seem tough. Remember, no one achieves success without going through hardships. Successful people are those who don't quit when facing challenges. They keep moving forward even when things aren't easy. It's this perseverance that creates their success. One important thing is you must motivate yourself, not rely on encouragement from others. I never waited for someone to motivate me or help me when I faced difficulties. I reminded myself that I could overcome any challenge. When you motivate yourself, you'll feel stronger and you'll never feel tired or lack determination. Keep moving forward, no matter how hard, is the only way to achieve what you want in life. If you continue moving forward, you will always find the way, even if it's bumpy or full of challenges. And most importantly, when you don't give up, you'll become the person you've always dreamed of. Success doesn't come from ease, but from perseverance and never giving up, no matter how difficult the path may be.